Will Brandon Sanderson destroy the publishing industry? That's the question everyone is asking. I just heard about this through BookTube. I think Jess Owens and Daniel Green did videos on it, and now a lot of booktubers are talking about it. So I thought I'd jump aboard the Sanderson train. Who am I? I am the BookTube goddess, the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube. So what has Sanderson done that has publishers quaking in their cubicles? If you don't know, he has been secretly working on some writing projects during COVID as a way of dealing with the stress.
And I might have gone a little overboard because I've written 5 extra novels in the last 2 years.
5 books. One of those projects is meant to be a middle grade graphic novel, which I assume he's shopping for a publisher for that one. But the other 4 books include 3 speculative fiction books set in his Cosmere universe. I assume they're all going to be fantasy, but I guess it could go sci-fi. I don't know. All the details are kept under wraps. The Cosmere universe, by the way, is the overarching setting where all of his fantasy novels take place. In other words, Elantris, Mistborn, Warbringer, of course, the Stormlight Archives are all set in the multiverse of the Cosmere. And he isn't the first author to do this. I think maybe Robert Heinlein was the first, or one of the first, to set his novels in the same universe with the same history and some overlapping characters, but also C.J. Cherry's Alliance Union universe, Larry Niven's known space novels, and of course, my favorite, Robin Hobb's Elderling Saga. The mystery 4th novel is allegedly something different, and no one has any idea what that one could be. It might not be speculative. All we know is it's not set in the Cosmere universe. So Sanderson had this idea. Rather than looking for traditional publishers for these 4 books, he would do a Kickstarter so fans can pre-order these 4 books, and he'd release 1 book on every quarter of 2023. So in other words, it would be an indie book release. Thus, there'd be no cut from an agent or to publishers because everything is outside of the publishing industry. Of course, he would have to cover overhead for any staff he might employ, including editors, proofreaders, illustrators, designers. Plus, he offered gift boxes. Actually, let's go ahead and just look at the Kickstarter. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at his website. Surprise, 4 secret novels by Brandon Sanderson. A year of Sanderson. Enjoy books and swag boxes through 2023. Okay, here is the lowest tier, $40 for 4 books. That's what I got because I like his writing. I want to read the books. And $10 per ebook, which is on the high side for most indie books, but on par, if not a little lower, from new release ebooks from major publishers. The next tier is $60 for 4 audiobooks, which is $15 per book, which is okay. And I think he'll probably have a top-notch voice actor because it's Brandon Sanderson. The next tier jumps to $160 for 4 premium hardcover books. I don't know what premium books mean. I assume they'll have gilt edges, maybe color illustrations. I'm not sure. It's not specified, but $40 per book is high for a normal book, but not crazy high. And again, assuming premium means some nice extras, it's probably going to be worth the price. Then we jump to $220 for all 3 formats, ebook, audio, and premium hardcover. So there's a little bit of a discount if you get them all. If you got all 3 separately, it would be $260, so $40 off, which is a little less than 10%, so just a little discount. By the way, if there's any delay on any of these products, I would guess it would be the hardcovers. My guess is that Sanderson didn't realize how big this release would be. So if there's any delay in the pipeline, it probably comes from the production of physical books. The only other delay would come from Sanderson himself not completing the revisions or new drafts, but Sanderson is not George R.R. Martin. He always seems to meet his deadlines as far as I can tell, and he has a proven track record, so I'm not worried too much that he's not going to actually finish or polish these novels. Ebooks, of course, take much less effort to push out, so if you are really concerned that the books may be delayed, you might want to think about getting these packages that include the ebook. But speaking of packages, there is more. For $360, you get the ebooks plus 8 swag boxes. Now, if the ebooks are $40, these swag boxes had better be pretty good because they're $320 or $40 per box. But then again, if you are familiar with subscription box services, $40 per box isn't outrageous. I assume there'll be things like artwork and stickers and that type of thing, plus a couple of big items, maybe like figurines or a decorative weapon, a knife or wand or some type of collectible. Maybe one of them has something useful like a backpack. I don't know, but I personally have no interest in swag boxes. I have enough crap in my life, and I just want to read the stories, so the ebooks just work fine for me. But if you are interested, then please go for it. I have a feeling they'll probably be worth it if you are that type of collector. Then we have variations on the format of the books you want, plus the art boxes or swag boxes, which goes all the way up to $500 for everything. So this Kickstarter right now is $23 million. I believe we're in the first week when I'm filming this video, and I believe his goal of $1 million was blown away in the first hour. So this is a lot of money. And of this, how much is Sanderson actually going to make? Off the bat, Kickstarter takes 5%. Ebooks have a negligible overhead. The audiobooks don't have much of an overhead other than the one-time cost of hiring a voice actor and maybe a studio to narrate it. And I'd be surprised if it's over, $50K per book. The premium books probably cost, let's say, $5 to produce. I have absolutely no idea how much those swag boxes cost to produce, but for the sake of argument, let's say 25% of the cost or $10 per box. And he probably has at least one full-time assistant, maybe more. So for the sake of argument, let's say his costs add up to 30%. Personally, I think it's less than that, but let's just say that's what the number ends up being. And if the final number of the Kickstarter, I don't think it's going to go over 30 million. So let's just say 30 million, which I have a feeling that's where it's going to top out at. But hey, I could be wrong. Maybe it'll go to 50 million. But let's just say if it's 30 million, he would make 21 million, or let's round that to a clean 20 million. That's 5 million per book. Not too shabby. Of course, this is gross, depending on the state he lives in. Taxes could be up to 50% if you live in California or New York. But I don't think he's going to starve even if it's 50% and he only takes home 10 million after taxes. So let's compare it to what he would have made if he had been traditionally published. And let's just say there's 30 million in sales. I know we're including the swag boxes among the ebooks and premium books and whatever. But let's just pretend for a moment he makes 30 million in sales in hardcover books. And those books sell, let's say, for $20. That would be 1.5 million books sold, which is a lot. But we are talking Brandon Sanderson here. And royalties on hardcovers are usually around 20%. Now, yes, he gets a higher percent on ebooks, and maybe Sanderson's agent and his own track record allows him to get more than 20%, but let's just say 20%. So 30 million in sales would be $6 million for all 4 books. But wait, he also pays his agent 15% on top of what he makes, which would be $900,000. So he would gross about 5.1 million, or about 1.2 million per book, since we are talking about 4 books. And this does not include paying an assistant or any staff or any overhead. So let's just round it down to 1 million per book if he was traditionally published. Now, to be fair, the publisher does take the risk if the books bomb and has to cover the cost of marketing, editing, all that sort of overhead. But even taking all that into consideration, Sanderson is making at least 5 times more by self-publishing than he would in traditional publishing. And I honestly think it's going to be higher than that, but we are being conservative, not that type of conservative. So here's the question for publishers. Will other authors do the same? It's no secret in publishing that publishers make the bulk of their profit from best-selling authors, and they take on debut authors in hopes that some small percentage will make it big, and they keep mid-list authors in hopes that they'll eventually break out, but their bread and butter are best-selling authors. So what if those best-selling authors, realizing they can make orders of magnitude more through Kickstarters, jump onto the bandwagon? Now, this fear has happened before. Back when some authors found success in indie publishing thanks to Amazon, back around 2010. But publishing didn't go away back then, and I don't think it's going to go away now. And it's not like we don't already have some proven successful indie authors. Let's take a look at one. Lindsay Buroker is an indie author who hosts a podcast called Six Figure Authors, which you can see here on YouTube, where she and other indie authors talk about indie publishing, which often, by the way, focuses on the marketing side of things. But successful indie authors are usually in genre fiction, and we're talking about fantasy, sci-fi, romance is huge, mystery, probably fantasy and romance are the biggest. Let's take a look at her Goodreads and see how much she actually publishes. Okay, here's Lindsay's Goodreads page, and let's go to her books, and let's sort by publication year. And we're in 2022, and she's already published 1, 2, 3, 4 books. And in 2021, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books. You think Sanderson is amazing having written 5 books? Lindsay is pumping out a book a month. And by these Goodread ratings, they're not trash books, but decent reads. We can see her average ratings is 4.28. And we can see the summary up here, average rating 4.28, not too shabby. And 280K ratings and almost 19K reviews. So if you think Sanderson is impressive of doing 5 books a year, Lindsay's doing 12, so go figure. Now, my understanding is that it isn't unusual among indie authors to be so prolific, especially in the romance space. I would also like to talk about a really interesting publishing house that is actually an author's collective called Bookview Cafe. It was founded by traditionally published authors who are already successful, including a little-known author named Ursula K. Le Guin. Yeah, that one. But there are other big-name authors, Catherine Kerr, Vonda McIntyre, Irene Bradford, Sherwood Smith, who may not be as well known as the others, but her Inda series is amazing and you should check it out. And books published by Bookview Cafe gives the author 90% of the profits. You heard me right, 90%. And now, if you are part of the collective, the authors help each other out, not only with editing each other's books, but with marketing and layout and that type of thing. I'll link their websites below if you want to learn more about it and check out their books because it is really interesting. But I don't think it's been a huge success. I don't see their books pop up very often, and I only found them because I was wondering what happened to Sherwood Smith. I think more resources could go into their marketing and for things like cover designs because, well, take a look. But the collective was founded, why? Because of the perception that the publishing industry takes advantage of writers. Then there's something called hybrid publishing, where an author produces both published and indie works, which is technically what Brandon Sanderson is doing. And he's not the only one. My favorite steampunk author, Gail Carriger, indie publishes quite a bit, along with her traditionally published book. So, going back to our main question, will Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter success have an impact on traditional publishing? Well, no one can see the future, so let's not pretend we know anything for sure. I think that there are very few authors who would be able to duplicate Sanderson's success. Maybe Stephen King or James Patterson or Nora Roberts or someone like that. But here's the thing, those people are already rich. Why should they do all this work? Also, how many of them could write as prolifically as Sanderson, much less Lindsay Buroker? But what about up and coming best-selling authors? What if they start doing Kickstarters and finding decent success? Remember, publishing houses rely on their best-selling authors to make the bulk of their profits, at least that's what they say. So if their best-selling authors begin doing Kickstarters on their own, I think publishing may have to change. I think more likely maybe some publishers may try to duplicate Sanderson's success at marketing through Kickstarter by maybe offering a subscription service or something. But really, that's all been done before, honestly. But if more authors do start duplicating what Sanderson did and find success, publishing would have to change, and there is a simple thing that they could easily do. Pay authors more. Stop giving authors a reason to look for alternate sources of income because you won't pay them reasonable rates, especially authors of color. N.K. Jemisin, 3-time Hugo winner, only got an advance of $25,000 for each of her Broken Earth books, and that's crazy. Just look up the hashtag publishing paid me and be prepared for some shocks. So do you think Sanderson's Kickstarter will change traditional publishing? Do you think other authors will follow in his footsteps? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you want more. Speaking of more, if you want to see another video about books, go ahead and click right here. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.